Dr. King said, one's dignity may be assaulted, vandalized, and cruelly mocked, but it can never be taken away unless surrendered. This week's episode of Weezy Unhoused, we're going to talk about how John Lee, this council member in this district, has been trying to strip away the unhoused dignity and their civil rights by constant sweeps and harassment.
To help those people. But when we have drug addicts causing crimes in our neighborhoods, feeding their habits with things like Prop 47 protecting them, everyone knows. I don't think I need to educate anyone here on Prop 47, but you can steal how much? $950, not per day, per incident. To feed your habit, you can walk into a store, steal that amount, and it's still considered petty theft. Affectionately called Murderer's Row over here, right? Okay. I don't know if they like that, but these are the group of ladies that when I come home and I have a tough day, I go online and I see them backing up what I've been doing.
Look around you. This was a full compliant area, but their whole goal is to eliminate the unhoused and have them hiding in nooks and crannies of this large community. In episode 8, we had a resident from Chatsworth, Brooke Carrillo, who gave us a list of the experiences that she had. For this week's promo, I wanted to follow up on what the situation is here out on Chatsworth. In addition to that, we're going to have new interviews with people in Chatsworth and their living conditions as well. So without further ado, we're in the studios with Brooke Carrillo, who is a guest on our episode 8. She's from Chatsworth, and we're getting an update with her. So Brooke, tell us a little bit, how are things going on here in the Chatsworth area in your neighborhood?
Well, in our neighborhood, thank you for having me too. Last week was a little rough. They were doing sweeps on our street 3 days in a row, twice a day. Came in the morning, they do their little cleanup, they would take people's things, and then they would go to lunch, and then come back, take more people's things. My dad had just been picked up at 8 o'clock in the morning, the third day, and they took
picked up where?
Picked up from the VA.
Okay, VA. Veterans Administration.
Yeah, he just got an apartment and through them, and they picked him up to go show him the apartment. So they picked him up at 8. They came at 8:45. I put his tent down because my dog had been in it, and so I put the tent down for him, packed it up all neat. He only had a bike, an old granny shopping cart with some towels and some recycling in it. They came to his spot, and they started to take his tent. And I asked him why are you taking his tent? He just got picked up to go look at a house, an apartment for himself. He's going to be back. And they're like, well, he's not here. It's abandoned. I said, but it's not abandoned. I'll claim it. She's like, you can't claim it. It's not yours. Otherwise, you won't be able to claim yours. And I was like, well, just don't take his things. I mean, he's a veteran, and he's getting housing right now. He just
Isn't that what the city is always talking about?
Yeah.
Housing. There's service resistant.
Yes, there is indeed a housing shortage. I understand that, but what's really fueling this is addiction and mental illness.
But here is someone that's actually doing something, and you're taking his things.
Yeah.
How horrible.
We're speaking for the community, saying we don't want this at this site. They're chronically homeless people that would be housed there and addicted or mentally ill, and their behavior could be unpredictable.
It was very horrible. Prior to that, them taking his, I had videotaped sanitation literally opening up somebody's tent. Now this man has a job, and he was gone for Monday's sweep because they came twice on Monday.
So this debunks the myth that unhoused people, when you hear people say get a job, they have a job, and this is what's happening to him too.
He leaves at 5:30 in the morning, and he wraps his tent up. He sweeps all around his area, and it's like a little box. Everything's contained. No trash or anything around him. And it was like that Monday. They came twice. It was still like that when they came the second time. Second Tuesday they came. In the morning, it was like that. They came in the afternoon, it was like that. All confined. Same with Frankie's stuff down the way. And third day, from Wednesday, he wasn't here. Still, they took his things. They said it was abandoned. So I filmed them literally undoing his tent, unzipping his tent, reaching in and grabbing bags and opening bags to determine whether or not what they thought he should be able to keep and what he shouldn't be able to keep. So they had two piles on the concrete. One was going to go in the 60-gallon bag, and then one was going to be thrown in the trash bin. And they determined that.
But that's even disconcerting, because here is people that are trying to survive and people that are trying to get themselves out of their condition. This gentleman is trying to work to get himself out of condition that all housed residents in NIMBYs and business improvement districts and all are saying that they're lazy and they don't want to, they're service resistant, but yet your city is still criminalizing the unhoused. This is why it's so important for We the Unhoused to highlight these stories.
And,
so,
having your stuff taken already as it is traumatizing. But to come after a 2-day work, being gone for 2 days and expecting to come home and have a change of clothes and walking up and seeing his spot and where's his stuff, and he's like, where's my tent and where's my things? And to have to explain to him that sanitation, and he's like, why? I complied. I did everything they've asked me to do. Why do they keep taking my things?
Nuri Martinez says that if we keep taking all of their things, they will leave.
But then where are we going to leave to? I mean, they don't want us on the street. They don't want us in camps, the railroad tracks. They don't want us together as a team, as a little family, as a community. There's no beds available. There's no apartments available. Rent is still too high. I mean, they haven't put renters control on anything or demanded these apartment owners to have Section 8 in their apartments. And so where do they expect us to go? I mean, they really want to round us all up somehow and make it like a concentration camp, putting us in one area and schooling us that way. But we're not children. We're grown adults.
I agree.
And
so what's planned for tonight?
Well, tonight, there's a couple meetings. Corinne with United Way and everyone is having a workshop about how to deal with the situations of the sweeps. Because these sweeps were so drastic, I mean, I don't know how much stuff they could take a second time. I think they just came back to see if they could put the tents back up. And I go back to that is, what do they want us to take all of our stuff out of the tents and put it on the side of, and they want us to fold up the tents and like they came out of the box. So then that's bulk item sitting out on the sidewalk.
So that gives another reason why Nuri Martinez genius idea.
And they don't want, what are we going to do, stand outside until 9 o'clock, waiting for 9 o'clock? I mean, so then we're in their vision, and it looks like we're loitering.
Yeah.
Then the cops will come, and then they'll harass us about what are you doing here, and why are you just standing there, and because it's my tent. They're afraid to leave because other homeless people will steal from you, let alone afraid that sanitation will come back a third time maybe and take their things.
If they take their things, they will leave. Nuri Martinez.
But they say they're not taking their things. They're saying they're bringing them somewhere. But where
you're
they're
in
bringing
Chatsworth.
them, where they're bringing them is Temple Street, downtown LA.
How can you do that? How can you go if are you working or you are physically unable? It's almost a 2.5-hour drive to take all of the things that were here to be on the bus. Exactly.
How are you going to get them back?
And most the residents that I've talked to, that they are usually thrown in the trash or donated before you can get it.
Most of the stuff, I watched them on Tuesday and Wednesday, clearly what they were throwing away. They were throwing away, if you have a bike, you're not allowed, you only have to have 2 tires for your bike and it has to be all assembled. You can't have a tire on the side, you can't have handlebars on the side. They take these things and they throw them in the trash can. But that's not contaminated. Why would it be trash? Why wouldn't it go into a bag? It's 60 gallons. 60 gallons isn't a whole lot if you think about it.
It's cruel and unusual punishment. So
tonight we're going to have a meeting, right?
So has the sweeps continued, or?
Well, on Wednesday, it was trying to get a headache, so we went straight to John Lee's office. And
John Lee is the council member here in Chatsworth.
We wanted to speak with him and ask him why they were doing it days in a row and 2 times a day, and who approved of this.
And what did he say?
He wasn't there, but his people were. Josh and Colin Cruz were there, and his face was getting so bright red, and his head looked like it was about to explode, and he just freaking blurted it out. I'm the one that called it. I'm the one that told them to come out there. If they have to do it Monday through Friday, Monday through Sunday, I'm going to have them out there until they understand they can't have this stuff there. And I was like, whoa, dude, relax. You look like your head's about to pop off. Because if I want them there 2 days, 2 days and 1 day, I'm going to have them there 2 days and 1 day. It was my shot. I called it. And they're like, oh, and Elizabeth Chow's there. And so she's writing this down and trying to figure out, like, what was the big secret to begin with? Why couldn't you just tell us that over the phone, that it was your call?
Because they are trying to absolve responsibility. The same thing with Mitchell Farrell, the same thing with Nuri Martinez, the same thing with Mark Garcetti. They all have a throw the rock and hide your hand philosophy. So
somebody else's fault.
No, exactly. It's someone else's, but not them. But they are the ones that are the antagonists, the criminals in this enterprise, because they know Martin versus Boise is very specific. Exactly, especially the Garcia case ruling that just was handed down recently. They're told specifically by the judge that these sweeps and these taking these people's belongings and bulky items is unconstitutional and deliberately cruel. So I'm eager to see what this meeting is going to take place, because are they going to start to follow the law, or are they going to retaliate because the judge has cracked down on them?
And just the same, they're not going to have this emergency meeting until after the election.
Oh.
So it's so convenient.
How convenient, because they can avoid.
So I asked his communications employee, so in the meantime, are there going to be sweeps like this every day until that meeting, or are you guys going to back off from having care come out here? Mm-hmm. I would prefer just sanitation to come in and do trash cans, put the 2 bags at the bottom, put a new bag in it, and go on like they had been. I mean, care doesn't need to come here. And if it is out of control, they have people driving down all this time to see how much stuff people get and how trashy it's getting. Right. Then they'll know to come. Do you guys need to take something? The mayor had told me straight out, if you drop a piece of trash on the floor and they say, is that trash? And you say, no, they're not allowed to take it. Mm-hmm. They're not allowed to take anybody's things. So
that's not happening, is it?
The mayor, the city council, sanitation, care, and care plus, none of them are on the same page.
Oh, I see.
None of them are on the same page. And again, like you said, the blame always goes to the other person. Always goes to the other person.
Has the police been harassing you guys?
No, they've been making themselves present. They make themselves present just to make themselves present. But the day that they were supposed to do the sweep on Thursday, they had a huddle meeting over on Lassen, because I think they got the phone call late because they were headed here, because they had 3 police officers down in the Spectrum waiting, and nobody came from sanitation, and so 1 cop left at a time. But that day there was 9 police officers starting 6:30 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, up and down the street, 9 different times. And I was like, okay, so nobody informed you that this wasn't happening either. So I think nobody's on the same page. The LAPD is not harassing so much as wondering, like, where is the sanitation? Why aren't they here? But John Lee, like, put holes with it. It stopped it. And I believe that there's so many other streets in Chatsworth alone that could be hit with those sweeps, and that need all 17 of their trucks come here and all their 25 employees, because that's usually what happens. They bring all these people here in these trucks. And
it costs $3,000 a time that a sweep is out. Now, if it's one in Chatsworth, there's one in Echo Park, there's one in Hollywood, $3,000. If you say they came like at least 3 times like in the week, and like I'm hearing in Hollywood and other places, they're coming at least 4 or 5 different times. They're having police post literally deliberately right in front of the encampment to see if they're putting the tents up. This is Nuri Martinez. This is the Mitchell Farrell, John Lee. These politicians have taken the law in their own hands. In essence, they have joined the vigilantes. So in all essence, for us as a citizen, voting election time is for 2022 for Mitchell Farrell, and John Lee is coming up for an election. So unhoused and housed residents, we know what we need to do. We need to fight. It's very important we fight.
I registered 23 people. So I went into every encampment, and it's around here in Chatsworth. I went down into the washes, and I had 23 people that weren't registered and 23 people that wanted to be registered that thought that they couldn't register, because somebody told them that if you have a criminal record that you can't vote. Now, if you're on a full status of parole, you can't vote for the president, but you can do all the preliminaries. Do your city council. All you have to have is your 4 digits of your social security and the main street that you live on. But to register is not that hard. and to vote is even easier. And everybody needs to know that these homeless people, these unhoused people, their vote counts. Because we don't vote, it makes it look like we're invisible and we don't exist. So then it gives them the right to tell us how to live. And that's how I got everybody to register. Because I'm like, do you want them to keep telling you how to live? And it was like, no way.
One's dignity may be assaulted, vandalized, cruelly mocked, but it can never be taken away unless it's surrendered. So join us for episode 13, Chatsworth, Terrorism and Harassment is Not the Answer. And if you like this podcast, please subscribe to my Patreon account